Sorry. Thank you, Councillor Bisbee. Do we have any questions on this item? No? I suppose we're bound by the national legislation about public sector equality duty. And you're absolutely right. This does provide accessibility through language and disability. In the long term, I suppose, in a few years' time, we would be looking at other alternatives such as AI and other options, which provide translation just as good as human beings do. So thank you. Now I come to recommendations. It is recommended that Cabinet approve the direct award to Language Line TI under the Eastern Shires Purchasing Organisation ESPO Framework 402/20 Language Service, Lot 1C Managed Service for Language Services, Local Government and wider public sector to provide interpretation and translation services to Peterborough City Council for a period of 4 years, including extension period of up to 2 years, and a contract value of £258,000 per annum. The contract shall commence on 8th of May 2024. Recommendation 2, delegate approval to the Executive Director of Adult Social Care and Commissioning to extend the contract term up to 2 years, 2 periods of 12 months in accordance with the contract provisions. Do we agree with those recommendations? Agreed? Okay, thank you. Now we come to Healthy Child Recommissioning. Cabinet Member Councillor Saqib Farooq, pages 21 to 34. Would you like to introduce the item, please?
Thank you, Leader. The Healthy Child Programme paper sets out the existing commissioning arrangements regarding public health funded provision of the Healthy Child Programme across Peterborough and Cambridgeshire, which is due to end on the 31st of March 2025. The paper asks Cabinet members to consider whether to commission an integrated service across Peterborough and Cambridgeshire or commission separately. Our recommendation today is to commission an integrated service across Peterborough and Cambridgeshire in order to maintain the stability of this service, to allow for improvements in delivery to be consolidated and to avoid a dip in performance. The integrated model also allows for greater efficiencies in management costs and greater resilience in the specialist elements of the service. Once a decision is agreed on this, further papers will be brought to Cabinet to consider the service model and what to include in the 0 to 5 and 5 to 19 elements of the Healthy Child Programme and the approach to commissioning, which will look at options including Section 75 arrangements, procurement using the new provider selection regime, or in-house options. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, do we have any questions on Healthy Child Programme? Councillor Hiller.
It isn't a question on the programme, it's the fact that we seem to have lost a broadcast. I'm wondering whether that's just internal or whether that's outside as well. Thank you. It's back on. Thank you.
Councillor Howard.
Thank you, through you, Leader. I just wanted to commend Councillor Farooq and the team for the fact that, where there's still a clear benefit, we will still look at commissioning schemes across Peterborough and Cambridgeshire, especially with something as important as the Healthy Child Programme. So I just want to commend the fact that where it's still in the best interest to do so, we will carry that on. I think that's really positive to hear.
Yeah, no, thank you. And you know what? I'm absolutely passionate about Healthy Child Programme. In fact, back in 2013, I invited National Charity Magic Breakfast to come and provide breakfast to some schools here in Peterborough. And there's no doubt that, this delivers better outcomes for our children, better attainment, which goes on, and not just as best start in life, but goes on to produce generations which are skilled generations and higher outcomes for those children. So, it's just a great thing. Thank you. So I'll move on to recommendations. The Cabinet is asked to approve the following recommendations for Peterborough City Council to jointly recommission the Healthy Child Programme as an integrated service with Cambridgeshire County Council across Peterborough and Cambridgeshire. The parties shall collaborate for the duration of the joint commission of this service, which shall result in each local authority entering into separate contracts with the successful service provider. The subsequent contractual arrangements, which shall commence on 1st April 2025 between Peterborough City Council and a successful service provider or providers, including duration and value, will be presented to Cabinet for approval in advance of the new arrangement commencing. Do all Cabinet members agree to that? Agreed? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now we move on to agenda item 8, 2024-2025 Transport Capital Programme of Works, pages 35 to 50. Cabinet Member Councillor Elsie, would you like to introduce your item, please?
Thank you, Chair. The report seeks approval to deliver both the Highways Annual Capital Programme of Works and 3 major highways projects via the existing term service contract with Milestone Infrastructure Limited. The budgets for both the annual programme and the major projects were approved by full council on the 21st of February 2024. Delivering the works via the existing contract will offer significant time and financial efficiencies, as we will not need to enter into any formal and time-consuming procurement activities. Furthermore, Milestone have a proven track record successfully delivering highways projects within the authority area, which have recently resulted in a contract extension until 2028. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Elsie. Do we have any questions on Transport Capital Programme of Works? Members? We have non-member asking question, or a member. Councillor Hiller and then Christian.
Yes, thank you, Leader, and I thank Councillor Elsie for his introduction to what is a very important element of this local authority's work. We have a parkway system, we all know, and we use the parkway system, I'm sure, very frequently, if not daily, and it's a system that was designed as part of the Peterborough Newtown expansion. It was built for traffic levels some 50 years ago. Those traffic levels have increased exponentially, as we all know. And of course, when you use something far beyond its designed life, it needs repairing. And I think in many conversations I've had with Councillor Elsie, he and I are acutely aware that roads need repairing. And whilst we have the accolade of being one of the fastest commute towns in the cities in the whole of the UK, our parkway system, it gets people from one side of our city to another, it gets people through our city, but occasionally we have roadworks, and occasionally we have repairs, and occasionally we have delays. Our highway service, I know Councillor Elsie's informed me, do try to keep those delays to an absolute minimum, to keep them overnight potentially, so that the least commuter traffic is disrupted as possible. But indeed, we still have to repair those roads. The only way that we don't have to repair them is if people don't use them, and of course that's never going to happen. So I absolutely commend and my fellow councillor member, Councillor Elsie, who has this portfolio, and I wish him every success, and indeed our highways contract with Milestone, to keep the roads fit for purpose, fit for a 21st century city. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Hiller. Councillor Hugg.
Thank you, Leader. In terms of the programme for resurfacing, you may not be able to answer this question now, but if you could take it away, that I would be obliged. That we've got Ayres Drive in my ward, which was down for resurfacing a number of years ago, and because the programme had kind of there were some delays along the way, it dropped off the end and was unable to be completed. It then came back the following year, and they realised that there was some issues with drainage, so they halted that from the programme. Some substantial work has been done on that now, but it doesn't seem to be in the programme for resurfacing, and it's already 4 to 5 years overdue, and quite rightly, residents in Ayres Drive are beginning to lose their patience a little bit in the fact that they've been told that it was happening, and then it didn't happen, and then it didn't happen, and then it didn't happen again. So I wonder if you could look into that. The other point I'd like to make is I'm not seeing, maybe I'm not reading it here properly, but there are maybe 10 lights on Thorpe Road that have been out for over a year now. It's clearly a cable problem. It's not just a question of changing some light bulbs. That seems to be a significant issue, and I don't see it in the street lighting programme. I wonder if you could go away and have a look at that for me as well, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hugg. But as far as the street lights are concerned, I'm wondering in case that's a part of maintenance rather than the capital programme, but either way we'll look into that. And
Well, it's been out of order for well over a year, is the point. So I assume that it's not a maintenance issue. Something needs to be replaced, is the point.
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Elsie.
Thank you, Chair. Ayres Drive, yes, I'll take it away because I don't know why individual streets aren't in the programme or are in the programme, so I'll take that away. In terms of the lights, you know that I'm looking into this because we've had conversations and I've sent you the list of all of the street lights that we know are out of action at the moment. This may well be as a consequence of third-party issues with cabling, etc., etc. So it may be that it's out of the gift of Peterborough City Council to just go and fix the lights. But what I will do is look into it and I'll come back to you.
Thank you, Councillor Elsie. Anybody else for any questions? I mean, I think this is one of the highest transport capital programme of 6.83 million. You know, we're delivering Signet Bridge, which is 6 million, which takes the largest amount. But potholes nationally and locally are, you know, not locally as much, but nationally are menace to motorists. And I'm delighted that this is one of the largest money ever we've allocated to remedy that situation, 1.92 million to eradicate potholes. And thank you for your hard work on this, Councillor Elsie, for allocating this much funding. Now,
if I may, Chair, I'd also like to extend my thanks to Milestone as a company because they are incredibly helpful. I have regular meetings with them along with James Collingridge, and they've very much got a can-do attitude for Peterborough. They want to be involved in Peterborough, and they are going out of their way to ensure that they deliver a service that we can all be proud of. So my thanks to them.
Thank you, Councillor Elsie. Now we move on to recommendation. It is recommended that Cabinet approve the proposed Transport Capital Programme of Works for 2024-2025 and authorise direct award of the works to Milestone Infrastructure Limited, utilising the existing Peterborough Highways term service contract for a total sum not exceeding £6.83 million. Recommendation 2, authorise the direct award of the following major projects to Milestone Infrastructure Limited, utilising the existing Peterborough Highways term service contract to complete the following projects: Signet Bridge, works not exceeding a value of 6 million, City Centre terror mitigation works not exceeding a value of 1.160 million, and extreme weather highways improvement works not exceeding value of £1 million. Number 3, authorise the Executive Director, Place and Economy to vary the value of major project works orders when required, subject to 1, available budget being in place, 2, the reason for the variation is for genuinely unforeseen reasons leading to fundamental changes in the project plan and target cost, and that such details, along with the breakdown of where costs have been varied, shall be made available in full on request. The total sum of each variation not exceeding £50,000. And number 3, the combined value of the works order and any authorised variation do not exceed the annual budgets advised above. Order variations in excess of £50,000 are to be made in consultation with Council's internal audit and finance teams. Recommendation 4, authorise the Executive Director, Place and Economy to vary the scope of the order when required to cover other related highway works subject to the limits imposed by item 2 and 3 above, and with the approval of the Executive Director of Resources, Director of Law and Governance, or authorised officer. Do we agree with those recommendations, Cabinet? Yep. Thank you very much. Now we go on to item agenda 9, authority to enter into contract and grant funding agreements for LUF2, Peterborough Station Quarter, pages 51 to 58. Cabinet Member Councillor Hiller, would you like to introduce the item, please?
Yes, Leader, I'd be very happy to. And Cabinet members will be aware that this is an exciting time for Peterborough as we continue to progress our multi-million-pound city centre regeneration programme. The Station Quarter is our flagship project, and I'm delighted to say we're now turning our attention to working up a full business case. This report is about some of the practical things that we need to do to continue the momentum we've built on this project and gear up to deliver what we've promised to the residents of this city, to the businesses who've succeeded here, and to our visitors, whose first impression, Leader, has been for decades a less welcoming impression than we would like to be. This is serious progress, members, and we know it's what the people want. This leads me to the purpose of this report. The nature of most development is that contracts need to be negotiated and signed. This is particularly the case here, because we have a number of partners involved. Network Rail owns the railway, and as you might expect, there are strict rules governing development on or next to it. LNER runs the trains and owns the station car parks. Again, as you might expect, they will have their own contractual requirements. The combined authority will be sending us the money to pay for the development, and they won't without formal contract between us. Members will be aware the difficult political relationship with the combined authority under the previous Conservative administration has largely been resolved by our leader, Councillor Farouk, and this has made all of our dealings with the Mayor and his team healthier. Not least the transport plan issues we faced a few months ago, assisted by Councillor Elsey. And finally, but certainly not least, the contractors who, after following a proper process, we choose to appoint to progress this development. The report here seeks Cabinet's approval to agree those contracts to enable Peterborough's Station Quarter flagship regeneration project to proceed. Jim Newton is here to answer any detailed questions members might have. Leader, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hiller. Thank you for producing an extensive report. Members, do we have questions? Councillor Howard.
Thank you. Through you, Leader. Really an observation more than anything. I think there's been a lot of political noise questioning the progress on the station court, and I think this paper really does reassure the public that we mean business, and the development is going on at pace with the decision making required to make it happen. So I think it's great news for the city, and I think the improved relationship we have with the combined authority can only help major projects like this in the future as well. So a really positive day for the city, I think.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Howard. You're absolutely right. Sorry, no, you come in.
I was just going to respond to that, Leader, if I might. Thank you, Deputy Leader, for that encouraging address. We are serious about this, and I think that from the get-go, this administration, in power or otherwise, this administration has always been very serious about the station quarter. We're not into cartoon checks and promises that the money has been delivered from political parties. We're not into that nonsense. We're into the serious business of improving the introduction, the entrance to our city, and that's what we fully intend to do. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. And just to build on that, our strategy, our plan is for regeneration next 5 to 10 years, and attracting investments of near £1 billion into the city. And what we're doing with Station Quarter is that we are opening our city up to outside investment, and I think that is the key thing, and wider developments. Sorry, I'll just come back to you. Yeah, I'll just come to we need to make sure that we need to deliver all of the 12 major elements of this project, reaching milestones at every stage, and we do not lose the funding in the process. Sorry, John, did you want to come in?
Sorry, I didn't realise, Leader, that you sort of finished the questions. One of the questions I'd like to ask, and it's a simple one, could you just reassure everybody, and I'm sure you will, that you'll consult with all the disability groups possible so they get a voice in this, because it is important, because accessibility into our city centre is something that's been campaigned for years. Now we have the opportunity to make this happen, and we can't lose the opportunity, so we have to get it right.
Thank you, John. Councillor Hiller?
Yes, if I might respond to that, Leader, and I thank Councillor Fox for that question. It's a subject, and it's an area I know he's passionate about, and we've had many conversations over the years about disability access generally in our city, but not least of which, of course, is with a new programme like the Station Quarter. I can reassure you, as far as I can reassure you, that consultation will be happening with all interested parties, all user groups, which covers myriad groups, as you might imagine. But we are currently at the very early, detailed stages of this. I don't know whether Jim Newton wants to add anything to that, but I can reassure you that disability is very much at the fore of our considerations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hiller. Matt?
I don't know if Jim wants to comment on that one, but just to emphasise the commitment I gave at the Disability Forum, which I think you chaired, that I wouldn't see this as consultation. I would see it as ongoing. These designs will be iterative. ARIPs are on the call. There will be a lot of detailed designs that we have to do on an ongoing basis. And I think having that, and there was a very strong engagement from a number of disability groups who were very keen to support. So that's music to our ears, to be fair. And I think we should work very closely with those different groups around the design and the ongoing engagement and delivery implementation. Don't see this as just, it's a consultation as part of that plan. It should be ongoing.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt. If we've got no further questions, then we move on to the recommendations. Recommendation 1, authorise the Council to enter into grant funding agreements, GFAs, with the Cambridge and Peterborough Combined Authority up to £47.85 million in relation to the Peterborough Station Quarter project and Levelling Up Fund. And recommendation 2, delegates authority to the Executive Director of Place and Economy in consultation with the Director of Legal and Governance to award and enter into contracts, arrangements and other legal documentation on behalf of the Council, which is necessary in connection with the PSQ LUF project. And recommendation 3 is delegates authority to the Executive Director, Place and Economy to authorise the expenditure of the external funding received by the Council. Do we agree to all the recommendations? Agreed? Thank you. Now we go on to item 10, which is on Hilton Hotel, pages 59 to 70. Councillor Howard, would you like to introduce, please?
Thank you, and through you, Leader. Members, as you know, the report before you seeks approval for the Council to submit a credit bid in respect of the Hilton Hotel. The hotel has come to a very significant crossroads, which requires Cabinet to consider the next stages. The original decision was to support the South Bank Regeneration Scheme by supporting the build of an exciting new Hilton Hotel and unlock further development and interest in this area of the city. As we sit here today, some of the final pieces of the puzzle are now coming into place, with the Good Shed and the former Whitworth Mill now advancing with purchases and planning applications respectively. However, in the challenging climate of the last few years, the original decision to support a hotel provision in this part of the city has been met with various setbacks. We cannot go back and undo historical decisions. We can only make the best decision in the circumstances we find ourselves in now. The administrator of the hotel has advised officers that a bid for the hotel has been received by a third party. Given the timing of the notification, there has been insufficient time for officers to fully consider the implications of the bid and thereby fully advise us as members on the options available in time for this meeting. I would therefore like to submit a recommendation that this item is deferred until the next Cabinet meeting, which takes place on the 22nd of March, by which time officers will have had an opportunity to carefully consider the third-party offer and therefore provide us with sufficient detail on which a decision can then be made.
Thank you, Councillor Howard. So it looks as though change of plan on this item. So do you have a seconder for your proposal? Councillor Hiller to second that. Okay, so in that case, we are parking up the Hilton Hotel item for now, and for it to be presented again on...
Sorry, what we'll need to do is we'll need to propose an adjournment of this item for consideration at the next meeting and have a vote on that item. We'll not need to vote on the recommendations that are in the report. We'll just take the alternative. So I think you've got a proposer and a seconder.
Yeah.
So this will be specifically for the adjournment of the item until March the 22nd, which you'll need to vote on.
Thank you. So does the Cabinet agree to adjourn this item to the next Cabinet meeting? Yeah, agreed? Agreed, perfect. Thank you. Now we go on to item 11. Yeah. Is that for item 11?
So it covers all three,
Yeah.
so if you do them all.
Yeah. Now we're coming to item where there's part exemptions. So if members wish to discuss the exempt appendices, Cabinet, if you wish to discuss the exempt appendices for agenda items 11, 12 and 13, please indicate now. No? So we'll not be discussing the exempt items. So now we can go, so everybody can stay in now, press and the public members. So now we go to item 11, Regional Fitness and Swimming Pool Centre, Bishops Road, pages 71 to 150. Councillor Hiller, would you like to introduce this item, please?
Yes, Leader, I'd be happy to. The report presented to Cabinet today sets out a detailed overview of the issues impacting our regional pool building and recommends how we can remedy this to provide an improved leisure offer that will be better equipped to meet the needs of our growing population for many years to come. The existing structure, members will be aware, was built in 1976, some 50 years ago, but in recent years it's been plagued with significant structural and maintenance issues owing to its age. This has led to an increasing number of closures in order to carry out essential repairs, but most notably the discovery of rack reinforced autoclave aerated concrete in virtually all of the roof has led to the current long-term closure by the previous administration in September last year on safety grounds. The low-level sauna-type moisture and heat generated from the pool has of course exacerbated the inherent concrete problem. This report describes the need to invest more than £26 million to remedy the current issues. A significant investment in a building which is not ageing well and in facilities which are not able to offer the type of experience that many people want and expect in a 21st century city like ours. Even if the minimum amount of work was undertaken just to ensure the building was safe and to reduce the repeated short notice and highly disruptive closures experienced over the last 2 years, an investment of more than £11 million would apparently be necessary. For these reasons, the recommendation to Cabinet is that the pool is permanently closed and that the Council commits to working at pace on creating a brand new, fit-for-purpose for our growing city facility. Senior Officer Rob Hill, our Director of Housing and Communities, is here, members, to answer any detailed queries members might have that I can't answer myself. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Hiller. Before I go to the members' questions, we have a public question on this particular item. Can I bring you in, please? So, would you like to press your mic? There we go.
Hello, yes, I just wanted to come speak today. I've got a 14-year-old son that swims competitively for City of Peterborough, and although I understand what you're talking about with regards to the pool, can you not hear me? Oh, is it not? Can you hear me now? Sorry. Oh, is that better? Sorry. So I've got a son that swims for City of Peterborough swimming pool, and I understand, obviously, we're all eagerly watching what's happening with regards to the regional, as that's our home pool. We have over 200 members at the swimming club, and although I understand from the reports that the plans to build a new pool, that is going to be, a minimum of 4 years. My son will be 18 by then. He'll be at university and probably no longer swimming. So I wanted to come today to know what the council have, provisions for the community and the swimming club in the meantime, to see if we can get through the interim period if the pool is closed, basically.
Hi there, thank you very much for your question. As the report sets out, we're looking at a number of interim options. Now, I will say that the options that we've got at the moment do not replace the full pool, and we know that, but we're going to keep working on this. So at the moment, we're working with Stand Ground Academy at how we might extend the use of that week round. At the moment, we've got it on just weekends. We have other sites that we're looking at, Jack Hunt Pool, and we're looking to extend the opening of the Lido Pool as well. But as I said, that doesn't replace COP's need around the regional pool. We know that. An officer is next to you at the moment, might want to add a bit further to this, Jamie Fenton, but all I can assure you is we will do everything to liaise with you. If we can find a quicker, more suitable alternative for you that we've not already considered, we will be doing that. But as I say, the problem we've got at the moment is the pool's closed anyway, and our timelines are significant. So thank you for your question.
Did you want to add anything to it, Jamie?
Please, Leader, thank you for that. One of the other items we're looking at the moment is a sort of temporary modular pop-up pool as well. So this could be something that we could use for children's swimming and the swimming club. We're still working those logistics through at the moment and pricing that up. But hopefully in the coming weeks and no longer than a couple of months, we should be able to sort of share a business plan about how that would look and if that's a realistic option moving forward or not.
Thank you, Jamie. And in the meantime, we are very grateful and very thankful to you. Your club adds very considerable value to our swimming children and their promotion of going on to Olympics and so on and so forth. So we appreciate that. And I mentioned to your colleagues from the club as well, we would like you've got considerable value to add in the future design of the swimming pool, and I will be inviting you guys to have your input in that as well.
That'd be amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, coming back to Councillor Hiller.
Yes, just to add to what Jamie has said and Rob, it's the easiest thing in the world to close a pool. It's easy, you just close it. You have to have the reasons for doing that, but you close the door and you lock the door, and that's it. The difficulty is re-provisioning that provision, if you will. And what we are trying to do as a local authority is to try and ease the impact that this closure has had. We are fully aware that it has real problems for some people, and the facility for people like yourself with your son, of course, is absolutely critical. So I hope we've reassured you to a degree that we are endeavouring to create an interim facility in wherever in the city, and the modular aspect of that is interesting. I didn't know anything about that, and I've just said to Rob Hill, I want to be fully appraised of that. So if that's a facility that we can use on land that we own already, then that would really bring that forward. So watch this space. Thank you for your question as well.
I think the same thing happened in Reading. They lost their main pool and there was a temporary facility built for the interim use. So yes, that would be something that would help considerably. The club makes a lot of its money from galas, so at the minute we are using Whittlesea Pool, but it has a limited seating. You can only have 300 people in the building, so the club's not generating any money. So we are actually doing an awful lot of fundraising ourselves. We had a ball where we managed to raise £15,000, which is basically keeping, our club running, and everybody's working hard towards that. So everybody at our club and in Peterborough is invested. So yeah, anything that can be done to help, we would like to also help.
Thank you very, very much for those thoughts. We have some good contacts at Reading Borough Council, so I'm sure we can investigate that and find out exactly what they've done at Reading. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Members, do we have any questions? Councillor Elsey and then Councillor Hughes in a second. John.
Thank you, Leader. My question kind of goes on. It's twofold. It kind of goes on from the question from the lady who's here from COPS today. I have a friend whose son swims for COPS as well to a very high standard. Can I please ask that any future plans look at a 50-metre pool, not a 25-metre pool, because we are the fastest expanding city in the country. We are the place that people want to come and live and bring their families to come and settle in. And when we've got neighbouring boroughs like Corby with a 50-metre pool and we haven't, it puts us to shame somewhat. But the second part of the question is, my understanding is that even if we were to look up reopening this pool and pay the 26 million, which frankly I think would be ridiculous, but my understanding is that it would take almost as long to bring this pool up to standard as it would for us to design and build the new pool. Can you confirm that that's the case, please?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Through you. Thank you, Councillor Housey. So, first of all, the 50-metre pool, absolutely agree. So, in the report we set out, we had initial costings for a 25-metre, but it recommends that we now carry out a full detailed business case, and that in that it looks at a 50-metre pool as an option as well. We don't think the uplift in cost will be that significant, given we want to get the offer right for a growing city. So that's certainly something we'll bring back to Cabinet. The second question around, sorry, it's just gone out of my head.
If we were to invest the 27 million in rebuilding the pool, my understanding, which I don't want us to do. Timescale, I believe it's almost the same period of time to bring it up to standard as it would be to build a new pool.
Thank you, and apologies. But yes, that's exactly right. We would still have to go out to procure. It's a significant investment. But the report also sets out that even if we were to do that, to modernise the facility, it still wouldn't allow for the growth that we need for the city. So we would be using it nearly all the same time as a new build. And obviously its future-proofing would be diminished.
Thank you. Christian, I think you were ahead of them.
Thank you, Leader. Just a question around transparency, really. The previous council leader has made numerous times at council has said about advanced plans for replacement for the pool. Can we just put that to bed? Were there any plans that were in place? How advanced were they? And is it that this is just kind of fairy tale time?
As the leader, I haven't seen any plans on my table, or if there are any, officers haven't brought to my attention, but I'm going to pass it on to officers and see if there are any plans, if there's any funding already secured. Rob, are you able to answer that, or do you want me to take it away?
Thank you, Leader. I'll just say that we're set out that we now need to go and do a detailed business case, which is what we will be doing. There have been initial engagements with other areas to look at the art of the possible, but the whole point of this paper is to say that we actually go away and do a detailed plan now.
So no oven-ready deal was ready to go. This is not the case.
I haven't seen any, but I'll pass it to Councillor Hiller.
No, thank you, Leader, and thank you, Councillor Hogg, for the question. No, in essence, unless something's produced out of a hat. Latterly, I haven't seen any plans. I'm not being clever about this at all. It just wasn't, frankly. And all I saw, as was witnessed by a number of our members cross-party, was some election literature from a couple of years ago pledging £36 million for a new facility. Nothing since then, I'm afraid.
Thank you. Thank you, Christian. Councillor Harper?
Thank you, Leader. Can I ask, please, the public are asking this of everybody, and you've seen it a lot. Where are we at with reference to where a new pool might be built, please?
Rob?
Thank you for your question. There are a number of sites that have been identified, but I will say that is part of the detailed works of the outline business case. So in the summer, we will come back with a number of recommendations. At the moment, we've clearly looked at our own land, but it doesn't want to rule out other possibilities there as well. So we haven't got a defined recommendation for you at this stage, but we will bring it back in the summer.
Thank you. And Councillor Howard?
Thank you, and through you, Leader. I can see, there's a very difficult decision to be made here, but what I can see is any money that we invest in the current building will stop us investing in that same amount of money in a new provision. A new provision we can future-proof for another 40, 50 years for the city. So although it's a painful decision to make, I really do see the value in putting our money to the best use possible, especially when it's taxpayers' money, and put that into the new provision. One question I want to ask, because there's a lot of political pushback on this, is that an imaginary scenario, could we actually reopen the pool tomorrow for the public, or is it uninsurable in the condition it's in? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Howard, Deputy Leader. I too have been asked this because there have been moves, and you're right, they are political shenanigans, probably for want of a better phrase, but no is the simple answer. The Conservative administration closed the pool in September last year, and frankly, for the Conservative MP for the city to suggest that apparently we can open the door and let the good folk of this city in to use a facility, I mean, for many different reasons, that is just not feasible, not least of which is we wouldn't be covered by any public liability insurance, as I understand it. The structure is deemed to be dangerous. I've already mentioned the rack concrete issue on the roof, and I think what we have to bear in mind is that this is a huge swimming facility, and so water is heated. Heat creates condensation, moisture. It is like a low-level sauna, and so any aerated concrete that we have that's deficient in the roof of that building, the condition and the situation there is exacerbated by that atmosphere. So, frankly, I wouldn't want anybody that I know and love to go into a swimming pool and potentially have lumps of concrete falling on them from a great height. I mean, the scenario is just bonkers, frankly, but that is where I see it. If Rob has anything to add to that, I'm sure you would welcome his comments.
Thank you, Councillor. And just to add, really, the public report sets out very clearly this was red rated. So the amount of rack in the swimming pool roof was significant, and so significant that we had to make the decision that we have done. I know that also queries have been made around other public buildings that we have, and I'll just add that the rack condition of those were not as bad, so we were able to mitigate through other means, but unfortunately that's not possible in the swimming pool.
Thank you. And Councillor Fox?
Thank you, Chair, and through you, Leader. Most of the answers to my question have been answered, but I'm going to still ask the question because someone has asked me to ask it, and I will ask it. Just remind me, please, when was the regional pool closed, by whom and for what reasons? The reasons I am asking these questions are simple. I recently believe that someone is campaigning to reopen the pool who may be sadly unaware of the safety reasons and the insurance implications of reopening this facility too soon. So what is the true feasibility to reopen the pool?
Thank you, Councillor Fox. So just to confirm, as per the report, £26 million is required to bring it to a standard that it could be reopened. It was closed in September 2023. Now, it was originally closed because of discovery of asbestos, which is in the report. It was during that period of closure, when we were about to commence the works on that we identified the rack, which has obviously superseded it and led to a permanent closure. So the feasibility, as I set out, for safety reasons, is just not there. So, yeah. Thank you.
Councillor Hill?
Thank you, Leader. Just following on from Rob Hill. As a local authority, Councillor Fox, as a local authority, we have a responsibility. And our responsibility is to ensure that anything we operate, anything that we are inviting the paying public into is safe. Patently, this building is not safe. It's been deemed to be unsafe. How on earth we could consider opening this back to the general public is beyond me, frankly. Not least of which is the cost to try and put it back into that position.
Councillor Harper again? Sorry, Councillor Fox, do you have got follow-up?
Yeah, I fully understand that, what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing. It's just that when people are making these statements in the press, it does concern me, because it's somewhat, you could say, slightly, they should know by just picking up the phone and making a call to find out these facts. Because obviously people out there don't know the facts, and they really need to know the facts. So thank you very much, and it was a very,
I think we've been as clear as we can be.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Harper?
Yes, thank you. As I don't have a vote in this, I'd just like to comment at this more from a recommendation point of view, from what I've heard and what I've read. And that's that our city is fast growing, as has already been said, and is already, as in the report, well short of facilities for swimming. We're quite a few lanes down already. With this closure as well, that makes us massively short, in my view, and certainly from the city's point of view. So I'd urge everybody to please support the new pool, particularly a 50-metre pool. But also, just to add a few bits that could be included, and that would be a diving facility, which seems to not be on the list. That would be good if we could have something like that put in the pool as well, or at least be considered as well as the lanes. Thank you, Chair and Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Harper. I don't think that we'll take those observations, we'll take those requests and put that in the business case. Is that okay, Rob? And if we now have no more questions from the members, we have one question from the public. Fire away, sir. You wanted to ask a question.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Godson Azu, and I represent a group of African businesses here in the Peterborough, and most of the African communities here in Peterborough. I've just been listening. I'm here because of the little pool regeneration and rebuilding. Also, I'm happy to meet up what the council is doing about the Peterborough train station regeneration. I know that most of you are aware, in the last 2-3 years, there have been a huge influx of new people into Peterborough from the African community, and that, I mean, with regard to the new university, which has attracted a lot of number of Africans into the community. I've got a couple of friends who are saying, why is it that every now and then the swimming pool keep getting shut down? I've been in Peterborough for a long time now, and a lot of our kids normally go out there during the summer to play out as one of the most key social center for many of the African people living in Peterborough. And when I saw this on LinkedIn, I did reply on that LinkedIn page that is it possible to try as much as possible to keep the pool going while you're working on the new one. This pool is a huge legacy for Peterborough. I'm sure there are people who have swum in that pool 50 years ago that drives by, and that pool reminds them of who they were in the 70s and the 80s. Shutting it down is closing a memory lane for a lot of people. And the new generation also want to know. I mean, you people are in this council, this is over 100 years old. There are people who want to make sure that pool remains.
So we've got two questions there. That some children are asking, why is it shut down? And should we keep it open while we build a new one? So I think we've exhausted those answers. We cannot keep it open because of health and safety. We can only have one option or the other, and we are going to build a new one. So unless anyone of you wanted to come in? No? Councillor Elsie can come.
Thank you, Leader. Can I just make a suggestion to the gentleman that he cites swimming as an activity during the summer for most of the children that he refers to in the African community. Can I just suggest that the Lido is open all summer, so there is swimming provision for the whole of the summer, which is in the summer months it is actually a more pleasurable experience than being in an indoor pool. So perhaps he should be pointing people towards the Lido for that same swimming recreation. Thank you
very much, Councillor Elsie. Now, if there's no further questions, then I'll go on to recommendations. It was very well discussed, wasn't it, this topic? Obviously, everybody's passionate about this and everybody wants a swimming pool in the centre. I mean, I grew up using that swimming pool back in the days. And you know what? When we come in as councillors, we want to say that we want to create same opportunities for the next generations. And here we are in a very difficult position having to take that away for next year. And it's not, this decision is not lightly taken. You know, we've taken every single element and we want to deliver. We have aspirations. We want something unique for Peterborough. So we want Peterborough to have that 50-metre pool. And we are passionate about delivering that for Peterborough. But anyway, let's go to recommendations. So it is recommended that The Cabinet authorised the Council to decommission the Regional Fitness and Swimming Centre following consideration of the financial and commercial findings contained in this report. Recommendation 2, subject to approval of Recommendation 1, delegates authority to the Executive Director of Corporate Services in consultation with the Executive Director of Place and Economy and the Cabinet Member for Corporate Governance and Finance to award the contract for the demolition works up to a value of 2.5 million in compliance with procurement regulations and subject to approval by legal services, procurement and finance regulations. Recommendation 3, approve in principle to the development of new layer facility and to the development of the outline business case stroke next steps timeline as summarised in paragraphs 4.5.3 and 4.5.4, which will be approved by Cabinet at a later date. And Recommendation 4 notes the interim arrangements as set out in this report at paragraph 4.6.1. Do Cabinet members agree with these recommendations? Agreed? Agreed. Thank you. Thank you very much. Item 12 now, acquisition of homes. Cabinet Member Councillor Howard, would you like to introduce that item, please?
Thank you, and through you, Leader. Following the successful award of grant funding for the acquisition of homes through the Local Authority Housing Fund and Single Homelessness Accommodation Programme in 2023, a good number of properties have now been acquired. As part of the original grant funding bids, a portion is allocated for the enhancement of the asset to ensure the Council complies fully with decent home standards. These funds serve as a lifeline and empower us to address critical challenges and elevate the quality of life for our residents. The dwellings are more than bricks and mortar, but are vital and safe homes for families, individuals and vulnerable populations. The grant funding will enable the modernisation of the assets, ensuring they remain safe and fit for purpose, but also ensure that the homes remain viable, resilient and adaptable to changing demographics. Furthermore, and where possible, it is an opportunity to enhance the energy efficiency and sustainability of the properties to allow us to implement energy efficient measures such as installing more efficient energy systems and improving insulation, which enables the Council to contribute as well to a greener community. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Howard. Members, do we have any questions on this item? Item 12 now. I think it's a great paper. It gives us opportunity to repair these properties and house people. There's a huge acute problem of housing nationally, and particularly this will reduce the huge spending we have on temporary accommodation. So once we get those temporary accommodation people from B&Bs into here when they are supported by either housing benefit or through other means, that will take considerable pressure off the Council. So now we move on to recommendations. It is recommended that Cabinet approve the required capital spend within the current approval budget, including grant funding, for the refurbishment of properties already acquired and to be acquired as part of the Local Authority Housing Fund, LAHF, and Single Homelessness Accommodation Programme, SHAP. Do we agree with the recommendations, Cabinet? Agreed? It's all agreed? Now we move on to item 13, development of the first primary school for Great Haden, pages 157 to 180. Cabinet Member Councillor Bisbee, would you like to introduce the item, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Leader. Great Haden is located to the south of Peterborough and once fully developed will provide 5,350 homes, as well as employment leading to 9,000 jobs, 3 primary schools and a secondary school, 3 shopping centres and sports facilities. The first dwellings will be available from spring 2024. The Section 106 agreement sets out the trigger point for provision of the first primary school, with 500 dwellings being the first point for a primary school being provided. The new school will provide a 2-form entry, fully accessible primary provision with nursery, preschool. There will be space for wraparound care, usually a breakfast club and after-school club, which is very important nowadays. The school will initially open as a one-form entry school, with the initial intake restricted to reception places only. The one-form entry school will then grow year on year to reach Year 6 and become a full two-form entry school as demands dictate. The Cabinet paper today is seeking authority to establish the first new primary school at Great Haden, progress with the free school presumption competition to select a multi-academy trust operator, agree the budget of 15 million, note that the project is a feasibility stage and final budget will need to be agreed at the end, agree that the council calls for the land from the developer and delegates authority to senior officers to construct and fit out the school in consultation with the Director of Law and Governance on all legal, financial and procurement matters relating to this project. And it's always good to know that we're hoping to go forward to provide more education for all our children. So thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Bisbee. Do we have any questions on this? Councillor Howard?
Thank you, through you, Leader. It's just an observation, really, to say really good news. I think Hampton and obviously Great Haden to come, you know, new developments always have growing pains as these developments come on stream, and I think the council has done a really good job of trying to manage the growing pains that come with it by providing more school places. And I think the ward councillors across Hampton Vale and the Hargate and Hempstead ward, which myself and the Leader represent, will be really pleased to see this come forward. So just to say, yeah, really positive news for the area.
Thank you, Councillor Howard. And yes, as Hampton councillors, myself and Councillor Howard, schools are very important. And you know, residents moving in always say, look, infrastructure needs to be in place. And schools are forefront of that infrastructure. So if you can place those schools, it's absolutely great that when young families move in, their kids have somewhere to go. And Hampton always had high standard of education as well. So I think it's a great selling point. And I personally welcome this because families moving in, and we have a lot of in-year pressures where children move in, 9, 10, 11-year-olds, and schools are already full. The current schools have cooperated us with greatly. They open extra classes when required to accommodate that. But to having schools ready before people come in or as people come in would be a great investment and great welcome for those new families to come in. So if there's no more further questions, I'll go to recommendation. It is recommended that Cabinet authorises the establishment of a new primary school to be developed at Great Haden, known as Great Haden Primary School, and delegates authority to the Executive Director for Children and Young Person to progress with the free school presumption competition to select a multi-academy trust operator. Recommendation 2, agree the project budget for Great Haden Primary School as set out in the PCC, Peterborough City Council Capital Programme, included at 10.1. Recommendation 3, delegates authority to the Director of Children and Young People Services to authorise the award of the contract for the works to construct and fit out the school in consultation with the Director of Law and Governance on all legal, finance and procurement matters. Recommendation 4, agrees that the Council calls for the land for the school site from the developer on the terms as set out in the Section 106 agreement. And finally, recommendation 5, delegates authority to the Executive Director for Children and Young Persons in consultation with the Interim Director of Legal and Governance to take all necessary steps to facilitate the decisions in recommendations 1 to 4, including the entering into of any necessary legal agreements. Do we agree with all those recommendations? Agreed? Agreed. Thank you very much. And now we move on to the final report, and this is Quarterly Performance Report, Quarter 3. Before I pass on to Councillor Howard, this is our first complete quarter as new administration. So you have reached your first milestone in the process. Over to you, Councillor Howard.
Thank you, and through you, Leader. This report provides an overview of the corporate performance of the Council for the third quarter of the financial year 23-24. Against the Council's key performance indicators as identified in the corporate strategy. It describes progress and achievements as well as any emerging risks and issues and actions taken to address them. And I really want to commend the work that goes into this. This is a public document, and I think it's really beneficial to the members of the public to see the work that goes on at council level. So I think, yeah, it's a brilliant document for the public to view. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haven. It's great achievements and backroom work by the officers, and equally I'm proud of all the cabinet members who have worked very closely in achieving these achievements in this Q3 performance report. So do we have any questions, members? Councillor Elsie, while you're asking questions, would you like to also go through your portfolio and see if there's any wins there? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I fully intended to. I'm sure that each and every one of us have achieved an awful lot in the quarter. So I'm going to rattle a few off that has been achieved within my portfolio, but then I have a question at the end. In the last quarter, I'm pleased to announce that we've increased our percentages in recycling rates, which is a really good achievement. We've made improvements and simplified the distribution of food caddy bags, which is rolling out in the next week or two, which again should see a further increase in the number of people recycling food waste. And we've introduced a new battery and used vape service, which again will also add to that. So that's all really good. We've secured £25 million worth of funding from the combined authority, which under the previous administration wasn't coming forward. We've increased bus services to current network. We've had approved new bus services, not least in my own ward in Wittering, Wansford, Aylesworth, Castor, but also an orbital bus service which will service the whole of Peterborough, creating greater connectivity and reducing social isolation for so many people. We've got an increase in the highways maintenance and cleaning programme, which will mean that the great work by Mark Fishpool and Harry Machin and the Peterborough Litter Wombles will be greatly assisted and will mean that they can focus on safe areas, because we will be tackling the arterial roads in a safe way. We've had the implementation of the Tiny Forest programme. We've got upgrades of tennis courts in Central and Itter Parks. All of these things are just a very quick snapshot of the great work that the officers that are within my portfolio are achieving on behalf of the council. My question is to Matt, and that is that we have now completed our first quarter as a new administration. I don't have regular meetings with the improvement panel, but I just wondered if you have, and if you have, what's their view on the progress that we're making as a new administration?
Let's put me on the spot. The improvement panel report, I think, have drafted their report. I haven't seen it yet, but that is due to come to the next full council meeting in terms of progress. So I am expecting that this week from Ellen and the team. But what I would say, and I have said this on public record, the panel have been delighted by the progress. We were doing some interviews this morning, and I know one of the panel members was speaking to that recruitment consultant who were involved this morning, commending the work of the council in terms of what we've done and the administration, but collectively, and this is all councillors in terms of the progress being made across this organisation, and huge credit to the staff and the organisation in terms of it's been a culture change. There's still a lot more to do, but you may have spotted a couple of weeks ago the government published a report around 19 councils who are struggling somewhat. We are nowhere near that list. We're not even on the list. We are doing extremely well. Yes, we're never going to be complacent, but we've made huge strides as a council. And I think the debate we were having earlier around how do we get investment into the city around things like regional pool investment, that's great. We want to be that ambitious for the city.
Thank you, Chair. If I can just come back. Thank you for that, Matt. That's really helpful. I'd just like to echo your thoughts that we're incredibly fortunate to have the officers that we have at this council, because they've all got an exceptionally proactive attitude, and they absolutely wear Peterborough on their sleeves. But also, as you rightly said, the collaboration across the majority of the councillors now is really quite refreshing, and it's great to be working with colleagues from other parties and sharing their great ideas. Thank you, Councillor. So if I then go on from one side, Councillor Hill.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. I'm just echoing again Councillor Elsie's commentary and encouragement, and certainly the very encouraging comments from the Chief Executive. I think buoy my attitude, and you know, we were looking in this very room not more than a couple of weeks ago, where we had a budget unanimously approved by full council, the first time I think in 22 years. I think, you know, these are groundbreaking achievements under your leadership, Councillor Farouk, and I applaud the officers similarly to Councillor Elsie. You know, we've got some very, very dedicated and some very competent officers, senior officers, middle management, junior officers working in this local authority, and I'm proud to be a part of it as a member. Just one or two areas in my own portfolio I'd like to highlight, Leader. Quite obviously, as we've just discussed and agreed, the station quarter progression. We're now up to the contractual timing, and look forward to the exciting times ahead, working with our partners, Network Rail and LNER and the Combined Authority, and the contractors, of course, who are actually going to put this scheme together physically, and our internal partners, not least of which are the planning team. We need them. Everything has to be approved by planning. The draft housing strategy, after the public consultation, this will be reviewed and analysed thoroughly before the final version hits the street. Selective licensing. It's been a controversial start to the new scheme, which the leader, the deputy leader, and I will be very closely monitoring regarding the chosen firm, given the huge proportion of private rented properties that make up our total housing in this city. I would consider hosting a meeting with landlords and officers after a few months. It's very important that we understand any issues or concerns that they might have ongoing. The leader and I have already had a meeting with landlords' representatives, and I found that very useful. Local plan, travelling through its statutory progress. As anyone who knows about these things will be aware, officers are making good progress with the initial stages that we need to get to the next level, which is the site awareness and further consultation. City centre regeneration, something that's very close to my heart, and I know most of my colleagues, if not all my colleagues sitting here this afternoon. So many strands to this, and different groups involved, not least of which the bid group, what they actually do, OP have a stake, and of course the Town's Fund Board and its various directions this has taken over the few years since its creation. We are currently embarked upon a public consultation asking what people want from our centre, the Cathedral Square, Bridge Street, Guildhall, fountains, temporary vendors, lighting, events, market reinstatement. There's so much to consider here, and we've got to get it right, because the town centre currently is not what I would want it to be, and I'm sure that's reflected by members here this afternoon. We've got some exciting plans for the Guildhall. We can repurpose this building to bring it's an iconic building, and we can bring it back to life for community use, visitor information possibly, and other purposes like performing art and outside events. Exciting times, Leader, and I'm very, very pleased and glad to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, well done. And now I move on to Councillor Howard.
Thank you, Leader. And firstly, I'm delighted to say we achieved a balanced budget, and that's thanks to the hard work of officers and the input of members, especially members in the Financial Sustainability Working Group. And of course, I know we've said it before, but having a balanced budget means we are still in charge of our destiny and able to make our own decisions for the city. And, we look across the country and see intervention, and with it comes rapidly rising council tax and a reduction to statutory services. And I'm really glad that we remain in a good position to continue our transformation journey whilst ensuring we can look after our vulnerable as part of the administration's focus. I'm glad to say that 92% of this year's budget savings are on track, with only 8% categorised as amber, and this continues to be monitored on a monthly basis. So we're in a very strong position there, I would say. We came in as a new administration on November the 1st, looking at a £6 million in-year overspend, and we had reduced this to £1 million in the January report. And I think this is a huge achievement in very challenging circumstances. We wanted to be a compassionate council administration, and our cost of living support is making a huge impact to residents of our city. By the end of December, we had delivered a total of 9,624 support vouchers, totaling £579,000. These included 9,004 vouchers for food and 620 vouchers for utilities. These figures are, of course, sobering and show the work we need to do to support our residents in need. And it is on that note, I'm glad to say the Household Support Fund has been extended through to September. And I'd also like to put on record my congratulations and thanks to our crematorium team for their recent recognition being rated as excellent by the Federation of Burial and Cremation Authorities. When residents call on the services of the crematorium, it will be during a highly emotional time, and it's a time for the utmost care and sensitivity, and it's really good to see this service getting the recognition it deserves. On the 1st of November, we came in pledging to be a transparent administration and focused on the best outcomes. And nowhere can this be seen more than in our asset review. We have made the review public and ensured our property and communities teams are engaging users. I've attended many visits personally, and as have you, Leader, and we will be visiting more sites. We fully understand the community and social value of the community sites, and I have confidence that we can make our estate more efficient whilst also ensuring current users are in spaces that are future-proofed. I recommended we employ a grant finder who can offer support and ensure we maximise funding opportunities to local groups as part of our commitment to community groups across the city. And I think one of my proudest achievements whilst being a councillor was helping and supporting the return of the Great Eastern Run. This race brings in an increase in tourism and raises thousands of pounds for local charities. Under this administration, I'm delighted to have recently met the race organiser with the leader, and I can tell you there are some really exciting plans for the race, which takes place on the 13th of October this year. Our city comes alive on race day, and it is this incredible spirit and passion in our city that makes me so proud to be a cabinet member serving in your administration, Leader. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Howard. And now we move to Councillor Saqib Farouk.
Thank you, Leader. And once again, no questions for Councillor Howard. It's just to highlight some of the fantastic work the teams of officers are doing in social care and health. I'll start by talking about the adult social care. The team continues to work tirelessly across a range of services, including the adult early help, long-term care and reablement teams, to ensure that we are helping and supporting our residents and preventing them from slipping into crisis. This quarter, we have increased the percentage of people supported with a care package as opposed to being admitted to a care home. This ensures that residents are able to access a high level of care in the comfort of their own home, as well as maintaining as much of their independence as possible. Another key achievement is that since April 2023, the number of people requiring no further long-term care and support after completing reablement has increased to 82%, which is well above our target. This means that our residents are able to regain their independence and good health, particularly at a time when nationally we are seeing a high complexity of social care needs. Lastly, work has been ongoing with a developer in our city to create a number of supported living units, which is a much needed resource and gives an opportunity for those placed outside the city to be back in Peterborough, as well as an opportunity for those in need to progress. I'll now talk about our health and wellbeing team. Over the last few weeks, Peterborough has been visited by the Office of Health Improvement and Disparities to see firsthand the work we are doing around drug and alcohol treatment. The officers were very impressed with our work locally, as well as Peterborough being one of the highest performing councils in the country for treatment. They came wanting to see what lessons can be learnt for other councils. We have also received 4 additional grants to strengthen our offer and services, equating to £2.5 million for the financial year of 23-24, which is equal to our mainstream funding, meaning we are able to double the drug and alcohol treatment investment in Peterborough. A huge congratulations goes to our teams of officers behind this fantastic work.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very impressive still. Councillor Bisbee.
Thank you, Leader. And again, no real questions at all for Councillor Howard. I'd just like to reiterate what everybody else has said, that this administration coming to the fore has actually managed to achieve much. And it was seen when we came to full council with the budget, and it went through with everybody that was attending and unanimously approving the budget. And that goes to officers, the opposition who has been with us all along. I thank them as well. And we have to look towards the future and make sure that we continue on a way of improvement. When it comes to my portfolio as children's services, as everybody knows, we were found to be inadequate in the Ofsted report. However, we have new officers being led by John Gregg, who sat beside me as the Executive Director, and we have got improvements on the way. We are working with the improvement panel for education that was put in place by Ofsted and also Department for Education. We're working with all those people that are in that group, including police and health, and we have improved our front door, which is, or our hub, which is for people with children and families in need. We still have work to do on that, and we will be working on that for the next while. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a while. But we also have our children who are leaving care that we're working with. And the team are working very hard, and I've been part of that, to offer a better package for our care leavers, because they are our children, and it's us as councillors and the city as a whole who have the responsibility for those children in care and also leaving care. So that will come to leaving care for next council, next cabinet meeting on, I think it's the 21st, or 22nd, which is, I'm looking forward to seeing what that's coming to. It's not going to be the out and out best that we can do. It's what we can do within the time limits that we have, and then we'll improve it as we go along. When it comes to children, we all have a big part to play, and I implore everybody to actually work with us. The schools are working with us and everybody else. So thank you very much, and let's move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well done, everybody. And from my point of view, I'm ever so grateful to the officers and their hard work and what they delivered, and what they deliver every day in short period of time and in difficult circumstances with very limited funds and resources. But far as the team's concerned, I'm very grateful to you. The cabinet's been tremendously capable, and my advice is that we're custodians of these positions for a small period of time. Take every day as it comes, and every day make that difference. Every day you come in and say, I want to make this difference to the lives of the residents of this city, communities of Peterborough, and having their interest at heart, and try to enable as much as you can. So it's absolutely great. And thank you, everybody, for their reports. So now I move on to recommendations. It is recommended that the Cabinet notes the corporate performance report for Q3 2023-24. Everybody agreed? Right, thank you very much. Thank you. That is end of the meeting. Thank you.